think this is going to be your best podcast ever.
Epicurean, but OFC and pink lemonade's pretty damn good. It'll put your boat in the marsh. Jesus did not die so you could eat yellow number 5. Excitable.
The nose starts off gentle with noticeable sense of grain that takes shape in the form of fresh baked bread.
Ma'am, you're in the wrong podcast. Educated-ish. I have used the term overproof for so long without really knowing what it
constitutes.
Because for
Is
me,
there a definition officially?
welcome to Bitches and Bourbon. So,
and that's assuming people don't start showing up. In
oh no, they're definitely going to. But I'm like, I said 6:30, bitches. I said 6:30. I'm not ready. I don't have time for you motherfuckers to be early. Well, that escalated quickly. Hello, Bitches and Bourbon Universe. How are you doing today? Welcome to another episode of Books with Bitches and Bourbon. Today in studio, and by studio, I mean the bitch barn. I've got the lovely Miss Reba. Say hello, Reba. What's in your cup?
Hello, and what's in my cup? Is Stranahan's Blue Pink Single Malt Whiskey.
I think this is Blue Peak, but you can say pink if you want to.
I thought I said peak, sorry.
Oh, I thought you said pink.
I don't know what she said.
Oh, and that lovely voice.
It started with a P and ended with a K. Whether it was peak or pink is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, that's the starts with a P, ends with a K word I was thinking of. All right. And the other voice you heard was the lovely Melissa Kobi. What's in your cup?
I have two.
Stop. That's not how we do you. You always say, hello, world.
Oh, yes. Hello, world.
And I need
it's
it.
Me.
I need it. I need it.
Kobi. I have two. Sprite and water.
You're a rebel today.
I know.
I love that about you. All right, so we are actually going to move pretty quickly. It's been a pretty full day here in the studio. We actually are attempting to put out all the content we say we're going to put out. And this is totally my fault. Like, I've done this to us. Like, I was like, oh, actually, Reba and I both were like, oh, let's do booze. But that's where Reba stopped. And then I was like, oh, let's do books. And she says, okay. And I said, oh, what about vampires? And she says, okay. And I'm like, oh, but what about the booze too? And she's like, that's always what it was supposed to be. And so now, so it is actually your fault because Reba doesn't tell me no.
Is that what you need in your life?
Yes.
All right, I stopped you from mixing, so that's good enough.
But you don't even always do that, and that's not your fault. Sometimes I'm just. I
was going to say.
Sometimes
I'm just try.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just a freight train, and I'm going to drink what I want to drink.
Yes, and you're going to look at me and say, "Fuck you."
Does it sound like that?
We have 40 minutes. Come on.
Actually, no, we have 38. We have 38 minutes. Thank you very much. So what we're going to tell you is that the September Books with Bitches and Bourbon book was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. It was a work of fiction published in September 2021. It comes in at 304 pages, and our beautiful co-host selected it for us. From Goodreads, this is what the description says. Think you know the person that you married? Think again. Things have been wrong with Mr. and Mrs. Wright for some time. When Adam and Amelia went a weekend away to Scotland, it might just be what their marriage needs. Self-confessed workaholic and screenwriter Adam Wright has lived with face-blindness his whole life. He can't recognize friends or family or even his own wife. Every anniversary, the couple exchanged traditional gifts, paper, cotton, pottery, tin, and each year Adam's wife writes him a letter that she never lets him read. Until now. They both know this weekend will make or break their marriage, but they didn't randomly win this trip. One of them is lying, and someone doesn't want them to live happily ever after. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of secrets. And an anniversary they will never forget. Okay, and now before we say another word, let me just go ahead and tell you people listening out there in the podcast, spoilers.
Yes.
Like, I'm not even going to try to talk about this book. without spoilers. Like, there's absolutely would you agree?
Yeah, it's not possible.
Yeah, there's no way to talk about this book without spoilers. So, if that thing that I just read for you sounds like anything you want to read, stop.
Yes.
Or if you're just that kind of person that can still slog through 304 pages, even though you know all the twists and turns that goes through it, then just keep listening and then go read it. But I can't stress it enough. Like, there's no way to talk about this book. If we tried to talk about this book without spoilers, it would sound like this. And then,
Have you ever heard of anyone before having face blindness?
No.
That's about it.
yeah, that's it. And then you would be like, but then there was that. And then
All we can say.
but if there was this, yeah. Oh, but there was that. I won't say which part, but you know which part I'm talking about. Yeah, that would be it.
Yeah.
That's what the whole thing would sound like.
Not possible.
There's no way to do it. We're not even going to try. Quite frankly, we had a discussion at the last book club meeting that we thought when we did these books, we were just going to always say that at the beginning, that there's probably going to be spoilers.
Yes.
And just roll with it. And if it's a book you haven't read, I will always read the Goodreads description first. So if you feel like it's a book you want to go check out, then just go ahead, bookmark it.
Yes.
Come
back and listen to it
and then
later.
come back and listen to it later, and that'll be fine. Better than that, why don't you just go ahead and join our Goodreads group?
And then you can just
Come
stay.
over. Yeah, send us a message. The bitches at bitchesandbourbon.com. We'll add you to the Facebook book group, and you can just read along with us.
And we have an online format, like they can join for book club.
Yeah, yeah.
They can join us online.
We usually have a Zoom set up. So, yeah, there's all kind of things to do. All right, so who wants to go first about, and I'm not going to go first about this book.
Okay, so it was my pick, so I'll go first because that's kind of our tradition anyway. So it just so happens to work out that the picker was here.
I like it.
Okay, so front to back, I overall enjoyed it. It got kind of repetitive for a while, and I mean, it just the whole middle section was very repetitive. Just a whole lot of over and over, same kind of thing. And there are still some things that I truly question. Am I allowed to start spoiling?
Yeah,
now? Okay.
absolutely. Right
So,
now.
like,
Right now.
Right off the bat, like my biggest issue. I don't give a fuck if you can't pick my face out of a lineup.
Okay, so she's about to jump forward, and I'm going to have to give you some backstory. All right, so the biggest spoiler in the book, is like the chapters go back and forth. It's like Amelia's telling the story, and then there's one of the anniversary letters. Then Amelia tells the story, and then there's an anniversary letter. And every once in a while, Adam will come in, and a chapter is his, and then there'll be an anniversary letter written by the wife.
Yes.
The twist is Amelia is the second wife.
Not the one writing
The
the
letters that are being written, this 10 years of marriage, that's the first wife. And what happens is Adam uses this face blindness business to explain why his wife shows up at their house and this other woman, her friend,
and coworker,
is in their bed, shanking her husband.
Yes.
So yes, no, I agree. I think we all agreed that face blindness my fucking ass.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck if she dyed her hair to look like mine.
That means you could go into a dark room and think it's your wife every single time. And you could have 20 different women in there and you wouldn't know the difference.
Like, there are just so many levels of wrongness on just that one piece.
But none of us liked Adam anyways. He was the
yeah.
douchebag from the beginning of the book until the very end of the book.
True.
That's
And
exactly.
he's a little bitch, is what he is.
Truth.
He is.
Truth.
I mean, his whole side of the story, I'm like, you need to fucking grow up hair. How about that?
Like, he's really the one that should have ended up.
With his hand cut off in
Or
a
his dick.
shallow grave.
Yes.
Am I allowed to say dick?
Of course you are.
I just said fuck. So.
That's true. That's true.
And I was thinking prick.
Like, I mean, they're just, he should not have been still going, like, living happily ever after in the end.
He
shouldn't have.
I agree.
At no point in time did he have like a stall in his relationships right? He went from one right straight to the other. Oh,
Supposedly thinking it's the same fucking one.
Yeah, and even in the end, okay, so this person's no longer here, so here I go with this one.
I will tell you this, though. The affair was the catalyst for my favorite part of the whole damn book. So in all fairness, I didn't really... I thought the book was okay. It's a great beach read. And that's... So if you listen to me talk about books for any period of time, you'll know that when I say it's a great beach read, I mean it was fine. Like, it's nothing that I'm going to read again. And probably when somebody asks me to recommend a book, that's not going to be a book I recommend. If they ask me to recommend a beach read, it will be a book I recommend. Anyway.
Would you?
Huh?
Would you?
For a beach read? Yeah, I think it's a great... It's easy, it's fun, it's kind of twisty. And I will go with the caveat that I thought the middle was absolutely dead-ass boring. Like, I'm like, come on, get the fuck on with it. I get it already. Fine. Face blindness, fine. Scottish house, fine.
There really
you
no
didn't really
other
win this thing,
big
fine.
pieces.
You've been hoodwinked, fine. Your marriage is in trouble, fine. I got it. I'm like,
I just want to know what happened.
I'm like, shut the fuck up already and move the fuck on.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest issue is the lack of any additional progression in the middle.
Yes.
It was just all repetitiveness, and no, there really weren't any big unfurlings.
Until you get to the affair. And then it sets up my favorite.
It's like
And
a
this
roller
moment,
coaster at
for
the
me, this moment it saved the whole book for me. So they give each other traditional gifts. So for their wood anniversary, he buys her a tree and plants it in the front yard. And she's looking at it going, you bought me a fucking tree? I love my front yard. Our front yard was beautiful. And you just put a fucking tree in the middle of it.
Dig up a hole.
She's like, oh, it's lovely, right? And that's what the letter says. But when she finds him, and so at this point, years have gone by, so it's a fairly sizable tree at this point. But when she finds what is essentially her best friend in bed with her husband, she walks back downstairs, digs the tree up out of the yard, drags the tree
awesome.
up the stairs, and puts the tree in the bed. And then leaves and never comes back. Like, she doesn't even show up for the divorce hearings. Like, she does all that shit by mail and proxy. Like, she never comes back. Like, she throws the tree in the bed.
Walks out.
And then best mic drop. Well, I mean, there was... aside from, like, killing people, which is probably the route I would have taken. But aside from that...
Okay, I'm going to bring up this tree, and you're going in the hole.
Oh, you thought I was digging the tree. Oh, no, baby. That's your grave.
Yeah, I just needed a head start.
So you're aware. But yeah, so the affair did. It was the catalyst for my favorite part of the story.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Mel?
I did enjoy it.
Even the middle?
The middle didn't bother me. I mean, I get what you guys are saying. Like, it was long-winded there. You're like, all right, we want to know what's going to happen here at the end because you've already set us up for this, right?
Yes.
They're like talking about somebody's not going to go back home. You know, clearly somebody plans on killing someone. Then poor Adam over there getting pushed by the thing, and he's freaking out because she didn't try to grab him from the rooftop. This was another book. I was thinking about it on the way here, that once you get the whole story out, there's not really a person that you can relate with.
Yeah.
You know, there's no one in this story that you can really relate with. And I guess the strongest character was supposed to be wife number one because of everything that went down.
Robin,
but,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. At the same time,
She killed it at the end.
yeah, you're a little bitch too.
Because she took him back.
Yeah.
The way the whole thing ended, like, I'm like, what?
Set all that up.
For after this many years.
Yeah, but she's not right.
Well, obviously.
I mean, nobody, I think that's the thing too. No one is right
Nobody.
in this book. Okay?
Nobody.
Oh,
Like,
at
yeah, because
all.
we've completely glossed over the nightmares about the dead mom.
and the dad.
Right.
The you know.
The ponytails being cut in her sleep. Okay, podcast
Yeah.
world. I realize we're all over the place about this book.
There's just so many little pieces just tossed in
Yeah,
here
and-
there
and-
without any big...
And it doesn't, okay, this isn't a spoiler, but honestly,
They're all spoilers.
you're going to read and read and read. It's the last 40 or 50 pages of where you're like, all right, we're getting somewhere.
I'm
And
like,
that
wait a minute.
ties everything together.
Did that just fucking happen?
And you're like, wait a minute. What? I just spent, how many pages do you think? Okay, so how many pages are in the book? So
250, yes.
pages you got, you know, you're just reading, you're like, wait a minute. You mean I fucking read all that
And it's this?
To be this? What the? Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fucking fine.
Yeah. So then you just finish it out, and that's the, there's no,
And then let's not forget the starlet actress that's just thrown in there for shits and giggles.
yeah, no doubt.
Like, we never do anything with her.
Yeah.
And we really should have.
It was literally just like trying to do a side rail type thing and get you wondering.
For sure.
But honestly, like...
She was never a viable option.
There was like this much anyway that even was like, as I'm reading these letters, that made me think it's somebody different, and like, I don't know, there just wasn't, like I said,
All
the
of these
whole
characters
section-
are pretty boring in nature, in
Yes.
terms of like personality and all.
Yeah, the picture that was painted of them, as well as
Yeah,
the way they
like
it
Adam
all
is the
portrayed.
driest person on the face of this earth.
What I didn't understand about Adam was I really thought his angstiness was just too much. Okay, you have face blindness. That's a weird thing. But for you to be so angsty about it. But what I think the author might have been trying to do and wasn't really successful at it was, I think she was trying to set up a reason that he never wanted to like confront his face blindness with publicly.
Yeah.
Because if he did, then he would have to revisit the murder of his mother.
Right.
Right? But those two things were so far apart from each other. And let's be really honest. I mean, we're not talking about Dostoevsky here, right? Like, we're not looking for deep, meaningful roots of connection,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you're going to do something like that in a book like this, you're going to have to be a little more upfront with it. If that's what she was even trying to do at all. Like right
Yeah.
now, I'm literally grasping at straws to try to make why she did it make sense.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense for me for somebody that wanted so badly to be famous. Because he did. He wanted to be known for his work. He was a screenwriter. He
Right.
wanted his own work. Like, how else?
But you
do
didn't want to talk to anybody.
But yeah, how else do you make yourself memorable? Like, that's the dude with face blindness. Like, that's fucking
Right.
cool. Like, everybody wants to talk to you at that point, and they're
Yeah.
going to remember you. Like, that's a key
Do you know
point.
who I am by my voice?
Yeah, like, it becomes a parlor trick that you can, like,
Yes.
completely leverage for that kind of
I'm
thing.
sorry, I didn't know who I was talking to.
And yeah, and I just thought that was was crazy.
There were definitely a few things that were not played out very well.
Yeah, and I think it was Ashley that her big question was, why did Robin feel like she had to stay in a hut without things? Like, why
Yeah.
did she feel like
She's fucked up, man.
Yeah,
I'm
'cause
telling you,
once again,
everybody
nobody's
in this book
right in the head in this
Yeah,
book.
I mean, they're all just fucked up people that happen to find each other, and after reading all of that and seeing where they're at and everything, you realize, like, even Amelia, the mistress, whatever, second wife, whatever you want to call her, I mean, she's not a great person either. So it's just like, once you get to the end, you're just like, wow.
Yeah, and we kind of decided when you were talking about how there was no relatable characters, Adam was kind of the reason for that. Like, the other characters on their own might have been relatable, but they weren't because they liked Adam. And it's,
We're going to blame everything on
we,
Adam.
we
for
really
this
did,
book,
but it was set up that way, right? Like, maybe you can understand Amelia because she came from a broken childhood. She had all these broken pieces. She was just trying to find acceptance and love wherever it was she can find it. She was trying to make this marriage work. Okay, fine. Robin, all right, you were like, you have this weird relationship with your dad, so you've got daddy issues, and now you've got cheated on me by my best friend with my husband issues. Like, okay, maybe we can understand that. But both of you still want Adam, and so we're like, I don't fucking get it.
And then, like, I know that it was briefly mentioned, but I don't think there's been much detail about how Amelia is the fucking chick that was with him whenever he hit his mom. And, like, she secretly,
Knew that
like,
the whole time.
goes through all these things to figure out who he is, where he is, all that stuff, to pretty much track him down and set up trying to
So there
get
goes
with him.
Reba. There goes Reba again, blowing over like a huge plot point. So I'm going to bring it back. So
That's what I
Adam,
do good.
Adam is plagued. Adam is plagued with debilitating nightmares of a woman in a red kimono. And it turns out that the woman in a red kimono was his mother, who actually ended up being a prostitute after his dad left in order to keep the family afloat. And one night, Adam went out with Amelia, didn't know that was Amelia. There were children. And he's driving the car that actually kills his mother. So he has face blindness. I'm doing air quotes right now. He has face blindness, so he remembers neither Amelia nor his mother in this dream. So you're just like, but Amelia knows all these things. So yeah, it was so close to being great.
And maybe his so-called non-recollected memory of him being the one driving the car when his mom got killed was the real reason why he was terrified to get behind the wheel.
Well, of course. Yeah, the book.
There were just a lot of pieces that.
It really. So I guess after we totally drug this book, I do want to go back and say the book club ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars because the people that aren't sitting here really, really, really liked it, because we have a lot of folks in our book club that really like these kinds of reads,
Yeah.
these kinds of reads that are just fun for the sake of being fun. And that really is what this book was. It was just fun for the sake of being fun. You do not have to think about it too hard.
Yes.
You do not have to try to guess who done it. If you question nothing, that's fine. Like, you can know nothing, Jon Snow, and you'll be completely and totally happy with the way this book worked out. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you reading any? And I'm going to go ahead and move away from this one for the last 15. We don't have 15 minutes. We probably have 5. I'm gonna for just the last little bit. Are you reading anything else right now?
Yes, but it's not a new read, and it's just for shits and giggles.
Baby, I just finished rereading Interview with a Vampire for like the 8th time. Like, it doesn't have to be a new read. You're fine.
If I Stay is what I'm currently reading.
Who is that?
Gayle Foreman.
So what is that one about?
A girl who's in a car accident with her family. Everybody dies except for her and her brother. She's in a coma, and she is like having an outer body experience through it and seeing what's happening around her. And she keeps on hearing the nurse say that it's up to her to wake up because she's in this coma. And it's basically her, not her being in a coma. It goes back to like her past, like the past year or so. And then it's also showing her outside of her body, seeing her friends and her family and the reaction to what's happened. And I guess at some point she's got to decide if she's going to wake up or if she's not.
How far into it are you?
I'd pay probably like, I don't know, 25% in. I mean, I'm not very far.
Are you liking it so far?
It's an easy read.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see. I want to watch the movie, so that's the reason why I picked up.
Me and you both, sister. That's why I read a lot of the books I read. What about you, Reba? You reading anything interesting?
So I am reading Interview with the Vampire for the first time.
I can't believe you've never read that before.
I got mine down on Audible. I do have that on my Audible right now to read it.
You haven't read it
never
before either?
No. Mm-mm. I've only watched the movie.
Oh my God! So this is a spoiler for the Interview with the Vampire series, but that's not the podcast. This is, but I'm gonna. So I'm listening to episode 1 was Daniel, 2 was Lestat, 3 was Louis. So the podcast episode 4, where Bailey Bass, the young lady that plays Claudia in the Interview with the Vampire series, and they are talking about what age would you want to be if you were going to be a vampire? Like, what age would you want to be turned? To which Bailey Bass says, I would like to be 19 because I'm a huge Twilight fan, and like they got to do high school, and I never got to do high school, and you could just move to town and do high school all the time, and that would be just so much fun. To which the host of the podcast says, oh, yeah, when I was reading the books, you wouldn't want to be 19. That's just a young person's folly. When I was reading the books, I was like, oh, my God, I could never be 19. To which Bailey Bass literally gasps and says, you read the books? And I just couldn't. I just couldn't. So you are... And I'm trying not to be a fucking snob about this. I'm really, really not. But you are literally one of the most iconic vampires in literary history. Because I will tell you, I looked at Morgan while we were watching the first episode of Interview, and because of the brilliant changes that Rollin Jones has made, I looked at Morgan and I said, this is how books become canon. Like, this right here, this retelling is how stories go back into people's consciousness. They go to look for deeper meaning, and people begin to study it over and over and over again, because you can extrapolate all of these different ideas into all these different time periods and make it mean. You understand the deeper meaning of all the things the author was trying to say. That's how stories become literature. That's how they become canon. And now, and Claudia is arguably one of the most short-lived, but arguably one of the most interesting characters created. Because in Anne Rice's universe, she's 6. And now she is eternally 6. Even if she lives to be 406,
Right.
spoiler alert, she doesn't. But if she had lived to be 406, she would still present as a 6-year-old,
Yes.
right?
And forever stuck in elementary school.
So you are arguably one of the most discussable characters in vampire lore.
Yes.
And when somebody mentions the Twilight series that you brought up, you gasp at the fact that they read the fucking book.
Shame on you.
Full stop. I'm sorry. I know what I sound like right now, and I know that baby ain't but 19. But I was like, you've been around Rollin Jones for the entire shooting,
Yes.
right? You've been around all of these people who were like discussing the universe, the canon, the brilliance, the creation, and maybe I'm a mega fan. Maybe I'm an Anne Rice enthusiast, and that biases me in some way. But she was like, "Oh my God, you read the books?" And I was like, it was fucking Twilight, bitch. You can read that goddamn book in 15 minutes. It's written like a goddamn pop song. Like, verse, hook. Verse, hook. Twinkle, twinkle, verse, hook. I mean, that's all the fuck it is. I said what I said. You don't like it? Don't follow me anymore. I don't give a shit, because I'll support it.
Can we go back to what I'm reading?
Yes, Lord. I wish we would, because
It's the
our demographic, let me go ahead. I just ensure that our demographic is never going to be 18 to 25. Let me go ahead and put that out there.
It's the first time in I don't know how long that I've been reading more than one book. Like, even whenever I was still finishing our current book that we haven't started discussing yet for tonight's meeting, is when I started reading An Interview with the Vampire. And then I finished that, and then I started Verity.
You did?
I did. And something else that is like a first time, and I say forever because I really can't tell you the last time, but I am 2/3 of the way through the book in less than 24 hours. Within the first few hours, I looked down and I'm like, damn, I'm like
Into it.
over 100 pages in. And
That's Interview?
no.
Which one?
Verity.
Oh, Verity.
And so I was a little surprised by that because, like I said, I will say never have I ever, because I really can't tell you the last time that I feel like I've read through a book so quickly.
Yeah.
I'm not what I would consider a quick reader. Especially when I have my evenings and I need to reread some things twice.
Right.
I'm not a quick reader.
That's on my list. It's one of those where I'm like, do I really want to read it? Because it's like, you have some people who hate it.
Oh,
You
so,
have
I mean, I'll tell
tons
you,
of
like,
people who love it.
there's all kinds of feels that I have had through this book.
See, you know I don't like being in my feelings.
Yeah, I don't like being in my, I don't want to be in
Yeah.
my feelings. I don't mind being in my feelings. I just want to know what feelings they're going to be before I get there. And I have a feeling that those are not the feels I want.
Right, exactly. I get what you're saying. Because, yeah, I need to finish this one. This one's on my list. It's going to get done this weekend, so then I can start whatever new book. And then I want to pick up another book. I've been trying to do 2 a month. Because I have this goal for how many books I read by the end of the year. And
I don't have any goal. I'm just proud that I get them finished. That's my goal. That's my goal. If I start a book, I finish it.
Oh, yeah.
That's my goal.
book club is
I
making
just
me do
don't
that.
have time. with class and work and
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. You got to do Audible sometimes.
Oh, you
No, I
have,
do.
you just have, you absolutely have to. I actually just finished The Hobbit for the very first time. I'd never read The Hobbit before. And so-
really.
What inspired you to
well,
read that?
I haven't either.
I have to tell you that J.R.R. Tolkien is a delightful storyteller.
Oh, he does.
No, but
just
it is
okay.
well read. Yes, it is
Gotcha.
well read. It is well read. But I'm just talking about like his cadence, his turn of phrase, the way he just kind of walks you through the story. He is just a delightful storyteller.
How does it compare to like the movie? Like,
You assume too much.
She's like, that's as far as I've gotten.
never mind. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying the book.
you assume too much. Yeah, I've never. I
No,
just
there's cool.
sorry.
No need to apologize.
So because Gilgamesh actually, I think, kind of did. I am trying to go back and read those things that I know influenced the readers that I really love to get into. Because when I'm trying to find my place in academia, there's some questions I have to ask myself, and that's like, where do you want to enter into the conversation? And it's kind of like an interesting discussion to have, because you can go further back to like the canon, right? Joyce, Keats, Tolkien, Yeats, like Milton, like you can do those things. But the scholarship on them is exhausting. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much of it. Like, so many people have been there. So many people have done that. So you kind of find yourself almost like a talent scout, trying to, like, survey the literature that you love that is probably, oh, my fucking God. I heard somebody say the other day, well, in the late 1900s. And I'm like, fuck you all the way. Fuck you. In the late 1900s. And I had to think about that. I was like,
We're ancient. We're fucking old.
I was like, what? All right. So anyway, you find yourself surveying the stories that you like, and it's almost like being a talent scout, where you're trying to figure out, what can I dive deep into, and maybe this is the next thing, right? Is this the next kind of idea? The only problem is you don't know how the literature of today is tied into the literature of yesterday if you've never read the literature of yesterday. So I'm really trying right now to kind of fill in my gaps of people that maybe I should have read that I just haven't. And so I've kind of started with Joyce, because I really enjoy him. Milton is the class that I have, and interestingly enough, I'm enjoying him a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Nice.
Encountered Gilgamesh on the way, and so now we're doing that. And Tolkien is always one. Like, we see Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and now there's the new series out.
Yes.
And so it's still influencing art now. And I don't understand any of it, because I've never engaged with any of it. So that's kind of where that's where that came from. That's why I picked it. And it was delightful. I mean, it was a cute little story. Like, I really enjoyed it. And it did. You could read it two ways, and I love stories that you can read two ways. You can read it just to enjoy the adventure of it all, or you can really like listen and think about the deeper themes that are going on there. Like what does it mean to be a static person? What does it mean to be a dynamic person? What does it mean to be called to purpose? What does it mean when somebody sees something in you that you don't see in yourself? What does loyalty mean? What does camaraderie mean? What happens? Like, do you value people over money, and how do you build alliance and legacy? Like what are you entitled to, and what do you have to earn? Like, there's so much of that going on in it. Or you can just watch a cute little hobbit like be like badass against a big fucking dragon and be like, "Go, little hobbit, go!" Like, you can do both of that. You can do either one of those things you want to do, and it was absolutely delightful.
Awesome.
All right, look, we did it. We have 3 minutes until book club.
Whoop,
Anybody
whoop.
else have anything else?
Until next time.
Until next time.
Oh, cheers.
Thanks for hanging out with Ape and Reba on this episode of Bitches and Bourbon.
Make sure to check out the links in the show notes, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Until next time, here's to bad bitches and good bourbon. Cheers.
I mean, you have to like spicy pickle.